Conservatives have emerged as massive victors in Italy's parliamentary election. But as hundreds of thousands attended rallies in Rome last week to support a shift towards nationalism and conservatism in the Italian parliament, and the candidacy of conservative Fratelli d'Italia, that's Brothers of Italy, party leader Giorgia Meloni, to become prime minister, as people started to turn out in droves for her, collectivist European Union President Ursula von der Leyen displayed the sneer and arrogance of a schoolyard bully, implying not only that Italy would suffer consequences in the EU, but that she and other globalists might work to undermine the results of the election. And despite von der Leyen's statements and the fact that she was in the United States Thursday when she spouted those statements, President Joe Biden has offered zero critical response to this simultaneous threat against Italian voters and implication of international regime change attempts. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and here's the story. Chris Tomlinson reports for Breitbart, quote, President von der Leyen spoke on Thursday on a trip to the United States just days ahead of Italy's national election on Sunday, saying, my approach is that whatever democratic government is willing to work with us, we're working together. But added, if things go in a different direction, I've spoken about Hungary and Poland. We have tools. By Hungary and Poland, the EU threatmonger there refers to the European Commission in February targeting the relatively conservative Hungarian government for not siding with the EU to impose crippling energy and other sanctions against Russian exports and against their own consumers. And on the opposite side of the lever, she refers to the obsequious Polish response to EU pressure to break ties with Russian energy interests, inspiring multitudes to rise against artificial money pumping, bureaucratic largesse, wokeness, internationalism, climate alarmism, and economy-crushing taxes. Ms. Meloni has helped form a popular center-right coalition in Italy called Brothers of Italy. Now, Matteo Salvini's League and Silvio Berlusconi's Forza Italia are also part of that coalition. And internationalists like von der Leyen and many in the dinosaur pop media in the United States don't seem to like this. But as Tomlinson reports, Salvini responded to von der Leyen's very nasty words with his own verbal fire, and he said this about the EU threat. Quote, League leader Matteo Salvini reacted with anger to the statement, saying the statement sounded like a threat. These are disgusting words. The threatening tone is unacceptable, he said, accusing the EU Commission chief of making an attempt to influence or even blackmail Italian voters, Il Giornale reports. Our EU parliamentary group will present a motion of censure. On Sunday, Italians vote, not the Brussels bureaucrats. If I were the president of the EU Commission, I would worry about the energy bills, Salvini added, going on to say such statements should lead to a resignation or an immediate apology. But why would von der Leyen worry? Based on prior history, the EU, and in particular, its cronyist, globalist, inflationary European Central Bank, the ECB, already has wielded such power in the Mediterranean that it has literally installed ECB autocrats as national leaders. Using bailout cash for hyperinflation-ill Greece as leverage in 2011, the ECB installed crony former European Central Bank Vice President Lucas Papademos to be the Greek prime minister. And in February of 2021, the EU pushed insertion of former governor of the Bank of Italy and former president of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi, to the post of prime minister, which of course now will be filled by Ms. Meloni. Since that time, the EU-oriented politicians exploded prices, locked down businesses, and attempted to strengthen the ties to internationalism. They attempted to open their borders to politically targeted refugee shifts. They imposed business hampering and propagandistic climate edicts, and of course welcomed wokeness. And because of that, millions of Italians have become energized to fight back. And on many of those issues, Meloni represents their positions. This isn't a point lost on the American pop media either. And they, of course, depict her and her party as neo-fascist without actually defining it, but by implying that having conservative principles is now neo-fascist. For example, CNBC's Matt Clinch and Holly Elliott claim, quote, Brothers of Italy has chimed with sections of the public who are concerned about immigration. Italy is the destination for many migrant boats crossing the Mediterranean, the country's relationship with the EU, and the economy. And they add, in terms of policy, Brothers of Italy has often been described as neo-fascist or post-fascist, its policies echoing the nationalist, nativist, and anti-immigration stance of Italy's fascist era. For her part, however, Meloni claims to have rid the party of fascist elements, saying in the summer that Italy's right wing had handed fascism over to history for decades now. Still, its policies are socially conservative, to say the least, with the party opposing gay marriage and promoting traditional family values, with Meloni saying in 2019 that her mission was to defend God, homeland, and family. Curiously, especially for reporters handling a story on Italy, which literally is the place where fascism began, those folks didn't offer any definition or even a descriptive phrase about real fascism. The term fascism stems from Latin. It stands for a bundle of rods, or fasces, and as Arnold Beichmann wrote in 2000 for the Hoover Institution, the rods were, quote, carried by judicial officers in Roman processions as an emblem of authority. Hitler, of course, had his own emblem, the swastika, and his followers referred to themselves as Nazis, short for National Socialism. Well, you'll see fasces all over Washington, D.C. And just stop by the Lincoln Memorial sometime or walk into the Capitol building when the tax-eating government actually allows you to. And it was in 1925, when Benito Mussolini became dictator of Italy, that he employed the fasces to represent the official policy and party ideology of his leadership. The rods, separate, are not as resistant to snapping as the rods brought together. The policy, strictly speaking, stands for the nominal, in name only, ownership of private businesses that actually are commanded, steered, run, punished, or assisted through government commands, through central banking, and through political payoffs. So it's not really appropriate to term someone a neo-fascist because she wants Italy to be freer from the edicts of the EU or because she favors traditional families. This woman's party has contained members who, when talking about nationalism, have stated, quote, we are heirs of Il Duce, Mussolini. But this reference and others appear to be tenuous links that have less to do with actual fascism than they have to do with breaking away from the EU and standing for Italian culture. As Meloni recently told the Washington Post, quote, there's a leftist ideology, so-called globalist, that aims to consider as an enemy everything that defined you, everything that has shaped your identity and your civilization. The EU technocrats like van der Leyen portray as fascism the populist admiration for regional culture, smaller centers of political control, smaller bureaucracies, and autonomy from world government authority. This coming from a woman whose Leviathan Euro government has tried through its and the UN's Codex Alimentarius to force every person in the EU to only buy seeds that the world government allows them to buy. This coming from a woman whose European government gang wants to tell car companies that they can't sell gas-powered or diesel-powered vehicles after 2035. Oh yeah, van der Leyen and the leftist pals, they're worried about the strong prospect that a woman opposed to globalism and its fascist claims to world power might take the head slot in Italy. And van der Leyen offers veiled threats that she will repeat previous EU attacks, acts of international meddling in national affairs. For some reason, this EU leader doesn't comprehend the steely, cruel face of dark, ironic history staring her in the face. Amazing. Do they not get it? Or do they really get it and they don't think we get it? Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. Remember, if you're watching on Rumble, please hit the plus because that helps push us up in the algorithm. And of course, Rumble doesn't censor us, which is awesome. And look for us over on Facebook. The page is rocking. It's always great to see comments over there. And of course, you can go to MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org. The Media Research Center is in its 35th year fighting media bias. And you can pick things up from the Media Research Center store to help the Media Research Center. We'll see you on Twitter. We'll see you on TikTok. We'll see you on Instagram. And I'm on Gab as Gardner Goldsmith and on Twitter as @GardGoldsmith for MRC TV. Oh, and thanks for watching on YouTube. Please make sure that you like and subscribe and make sure that you're subscribed. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.